Greetings, shalom. I've been, asking these questions in my own mind for a little while, and looking, kind of wanting to see what on earth, what is all this mixing coming from with the names and everything, but it just seems too simple. But I know the truth is simple, but I mean, is it just that creation is just that blind and mixed up and delusion, like, spiritually drunk? But I know it's like this for other things. So wouldn't maybe just the name be just one more thing, one more truth that it's real mixed up on and bad? All I have here right now is just Hebrew lexicon to Old Testament. I've had this thing for a while. It's just the Young's literal analytical concordance with like all the, it's got, today, back then, I guess this would have been a bigger deal because there was no computers and phones in the late 1800s. And it uses the King James Version for the English words in alphabetical order. You can find every English word used and then find where it's used and how many times. But then it also has at the back of it, it has a list of the names in alphabetical order, all the names in Scripture, which is nice to have, I guess, because I've been using it. I haven't used this much, but lately I've been using it and realized it has names. And that's how I found out. I was actually looking into, there is no Y because it's all written out as J for the, where is it, H-I-J-K. Or is there no J? What's going on here? H-I-K-O. Maybe is this the name section? This is not the name section. There it is. All the names in alphabetical order. And you have to go to J for all the yeah sounds, or yeah, the Y, U, J. That's just how it's written. That's just what's accepted, I guess, for transliteration. But none of these are just sound, but these are all these names. And here's all of these in order. Is it going to focus? Starting right there. Yeah. It's a little further. Oh, I'm on the wrong one. There it is. J-E-H-O. Starting right there. And there's quite a few names. There's specifically the J-E-H-O. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know, about 23 or 24 that have specifically J-E-H-O. And every single one of these names, 23, 24, that have J-E-H-O in there has the Father's letters, the first 3 letters, I believe, next to each other. And they're always pronounced, they're always called out for Yeho. Every single one of them. And of course, the Father's name is right there. I mean, it's obviously not J, but it puts in Yahweh question mark, as if, there's some confusion here. Everything else, there's no questions, but the Father's name, now it's a question mark, and Yahweh, breaking the pattern of all these other names that have the Father's name in his name, that say, these aren't the only ones. It doesn't have to be J-E-H-O. It just needs to have at least 2 of the Father's letters out of the four next to each other, at least, in order for it to say like the Father's name is salvation, or salvation, or this or that. But specifically, like in the Strongs, it'll say the Father's name is something. It has to have at least two letters of the Father's name next to each other. That's what I found out. At least two, in order for that to be accepted, in order for that to be. If it just has the Yud, like the J, all but and not two of the Father's letters, like the Yud, Hey, two. If it just has Yud and then something else and then another letter of the Father's name, and they're not next to, even if it has two of the Father's letters out of the four, but they're not next to each other, the Strongs will never say the Father's name is something. It's not the Father's name within that name. That's what I found out consistently. And I have also found out that no name in all these names, it doesn't take very long to check the J section, the Y section. Nobody has the four letters, all of them in their name, but only two or three at the most next to each other, but not the four letters next to each other. That's like the Father's full name. No name in Scripture has that, although there is three names that literally has the Father's name, the full name, that you'll find all four letters if you look at the Hebrew for Yehovah, however that's pronounced. And then this one, Yehovah Shalom. Two of these are altars, I found out, names for altars, and one of them is, I think it's that one with Abraham. It's a place where the testing with Abraham, the sacrifice testing. And then I believe this one, Yehovah Nisi, or however that ends up being pronounced, is a name for an altar. And this one I never knew. None of these three I knew about. Yehovah Shalom, actually. But this is not anybody's name, though, the full Father's name. These are the only other names that have the Father's full name in it, but they're not people's names. Two are altars that were built, and one is a place, location. So I found the consistency in that, and it's just, these things don't ever seem to be, I don't remember it ever being brought up by people, that the various peoples in the world that speak about the Creator's name and say it's pronounced like this, something different than what we read with the vowel pointings in Scripture in the Hebrew. These other names don't seem to have a problem, like Jeremiah, with most people. I'm sure there's a few, but it seems like most don't have a problem pronouncing it Yirmeyahu. And then I don't understand the shortened one, Yirmeyah or Yirmeyahu. There's something to do with like the name being said twice. Maybe that's why Messiah says Martha, Martha, or Simon, Simon, or is it Peter, Peter? Because the Father does this. Something about twice, but usually one's like one letter short, and the other, then it's like the full name has the extra letter. So Yirmeyah, Yirmeyahu, which is the Vav, pointed for a U sound, which has a dot in the middle of the Vav. And if it's above the Vav, it's O, like all these. All these have the Father's name within their name. And if you look them up, it says the Father's name is something. And all of them are pointed for Yeho when it's at the beginning of the name. When two or three of the Father's letter in his name are at the end of the name, it's Yah or Yahu at the end. And this is consistent with all the names that have Yah or Yahu at the end. They have the Father. This also has the Father's name within Jeremiah's name. If you look Jeremiah, it will say the Father's name specifically is something, because it has at least two or three of his letters at the end of his name together. So it's always Yah or Yahu every single time. And every single time it's at the beginning, it's Yeh or Yeho. It has to have two or three letters of the Father's name in the beginning. Then that's how it's pronounced. At least that's just what we read in the Hebrew. there's so many witnesses and there's a consistency going on here. You'd have to say all of it's wrong. Nobody ever brings this up. Why is it being rejected? Another part of, where is my saved spot? One section here. I was looking for words, specifically Yeshua. I was looking for Yeshua, that pronunciation. Now these are supposed to be all of them. Maybe there's a few missing, but from my understanding, it's all of the Hebrew words in alphabetical order back here. So, for example, the Hebrew word shua is translated. This concordant literal or analytical is based off the King James version and what it used, because it's 1800s or 1900 or whatever when this was made. There's a Hebrew word. It's got the transliteration, and then it's smaller, but it's got the Hebrew letters and the vowel points next to every word. The actual Hebrew word is next to it. It's translated once in the King James as riches and once as cry. What does that say? A verb? This word's used twice, shua, all by itself. There's a Hebrew word I believe it's pronounced shua. And that's it. It's used twice. It's translated once as riches, once as cry. And you know what I've seen someone say is that, the name is Yahushua, but the shua part is like the one that cried out. But I don't see anywhere that the Messiah's name means the Father cried out, or the Father is riches and also means the Father's name is salvation. Does it mean both of them at once? I never see that in the Strong's or any other source of these lexicons or anything. And it seems everyone does say his Messiah's name means the Father's name is salvation, just like Jeremiah has the Father's name in his name, 2 or 3 letters next to each other at least. And when they're in the back of the end of the name, it's Yah or Yahu, and when it's at the beginning, it's Yeh or Yeho. And one thing I found out, you cannot take a transliteration pronunciation part of it and then go find it in some other word, look at its definition, and then say the other word has that meaning. That's stupid. That much I know that you can't do. That would be like someone that doesn't know English at all, doesn't know anything about languages, but especially doesn't know English at all. And now he comes to us and says Ryan has YA in it, and let's say it means something in my name. Then he goes and finds another word in English that has YA in the word and says this word must mean what it means for my name. You can't do that. That's stupid. That can be proven quickly and easily, and nobody brings it up. No one. I'm not saying there's no one out there that's ever done it, but just compared to what I see, I never see this brought up ever. And that's how they get misery, destruction, and wickedness with Yehovah. Because somebody, like I've just blindly believed, found Hova, the transliteration Hova. Because obviously, this is not the actual Hebrew word. Just an example here I'm pointing, but the Hebrew word's right next to it, where they find the transliteration Hova sound and go to some other word and keep digging until they find one that says Hova in the word somewhere that means misery and destruction. Then they say the Father's name means misery and destruction. You can't do that. It's wicked. That could be proven easily. It's already proven if anybody that can see it. You can't do that. It's stupid. That much I know, even if I don't know much more than that for any, literal Hebrew and how it works. I did learn that you can't do that. It's stupid. And you can't go to this word shua, which is a transliteration of a Hebrew word. It's not Messiah's name. This is the Hebrew words that says shua, which is translated as riches and cry, and now go to whether someone says Yahushua or Yeshua, and now go to Messiah's name, Yeshua, as many say, Yeshua. It's very common. Seems like all the fake Jews over there in the Far East say Yeshua. But I'm questioning how that could be, and then applying with this Hebrew word all by itself, but taking Shua now and saying that Messiah's name means riches and crying. So it means Yahu, Yeho, however someone's pronouncing it. That's the Father's name. But then Shua means riches, so the Father is riches. The Father cries, or the Father is crying. Is that how it works? Or does it work like we have root words? It's based off root words. That's where the meaning, that's how it works. It's very simple. And people that do this seem to deny thousands of years of people that know Hebrew, the literal language, and definitions of literal words, and just say it's all wrong. It's some serious pride. Why should it be assumed automatically now whenever someone feels like it that it's dead wrong, especially the Father's word that gives us his name and its pronunciation, Yehovah, and nobody says it. They say that's the wrong name for sure. It means destruction and misery, like I said before, because I blindly believed that you can find the transliteration somewhere, Hova, and then find where it means destruction or something, and then apply it to the Father's name. Can't do that. Ryan is R-Y-A-N. You can't take Y-A-N and let's say it means good or bad. It doesn't matter, but I have to use one of them. Let's say it means bad. Y-A-N. Now go and find a random word that has nothing to do with my name, but it's got somewhere in there the sound Y-A-N, and automatically say it means bad. No, it's a different word. It doesn't mean bad automatically. You can't do that. Stupid. You can't do that. And that much I'm sure of. And, and if there's anyone that thinks this is dead wrong and in serious error, I'd like them to prove it, because I'm not seeing how it can be wrong. And I don't see how Messiah's name can be Yeshua, because we have the scripture. What else do people need? So I was looking for Yahshua and all the Y sounds. I never found a Hebrew word that's pronounced Yahshua in scripture. I don't believe it exists. And it's just trying to bring a point out. I don't find Yahshua anywhere. Not even as a regular Hebrew word or, anything. These are Hebrew words here. Alphabetical order. I don't see it. But I did find yasha. I believe this is why it's so mixed up, because people are taking separate Hebrew words and root words of names and mixing and matching. So yasha is translated be saved 19 times, but then the most is save 131 times. So the Hebrew word yasha means to be saved 131 times. Does that mean Messiah's name is Yasha? Does it mean it's, Yeshua Yasha or Yasha Yeshua, just making things up? Is that because we have a Hebrew word for, Yasha, and this Hebrew word is translated as save 131 times. And so I've been looking at this thing since I have it, and it's just strange I think I'm finding out why we have such different pronunciations, because they're different Hebrew words and root words, and they're being combined to try to get the name salvation, I guess. So Yasha it's translated as save many times. But this Hebrew word, though, is not Messiah's name, though. Even though this word Yasha does mean, it's not focusing very good. Save or to be saved, then there's Yeshua. There's a Hebrew word pronounced Yeshua. It's got the Hebrew word right next to it. And it means salvation. Most of the times it's translated as salvation. And it's a Hebrew word. It's not a name. This one here. I think the first one's in Exodus, or someone can look it up. I don't remember, but it's translated as salvation many times. Waiting for the Father's salvation. So it'd be like in Hebrew, waiting for Yeshua, to say it in Hebrew, I guess. But this is the name that's very common, though. That much I know, that it is used a lot, this pronunciation, which is a specific Hebrew word that's used in Scripture. But how could that be Messiah's name? Because it means salvation. It's a Hebrew word. But Messiah's name can't just mean salvation by itself. What I'm trying to bring out is it just seems incredibly simple as I was looking through this the last few days. And it just hit me how simple it is. How could it be Yeshua, since that's a Hebrew word that's used in Scripture? That means salvation. We have the Hebrew word for Messiah's name in Scripture. It's the name that's transliterated to Joshua in English. That's the Hebrew word. That's the one that gets them to the promised land, the children, and not the first stubborn generation under Moses. That's it. That's the Hebrew name that does mean the Father's name is salvation. But what also to bring out for Yeshua is that it leaves the Father out. It just means salvation then. And I'm not saying this is like wrong, that Messiah's name has nothing to do with salvation, but there's a problem because it's just salvation. That's it. But it's not the Father's name in this Hebrew word. It's the Yud, Shin, Vav, Hey. It doesn't have at least two of the Father's letters in the Father's four letters, his name, next to each other. It does have two of the Father's letters. It's got the Yud and Vav, but they're not next to each other. So when you look up this word in Strong's or something, you'll find this word does not mean the Father's name is something. This word is not the Father's name within its name, but it does mean salvation or something like it. It is translated a few times help, health, deliverance, but mostly salvation. And I found out it needs to have two or three of the Father's letters next to each other in somebody's name for it to be able to mean the Father's name is specifically something. Like Jeremiah has it at the end of his name, two or three, the Yud He Vav. And it shows for Yahoo pronunciation, Yah and Yahoo. And when it's at the beginning, it's always Yeh and Yeho, like I did earlier in the beginning of this video. With all the different names I checked, I've been checking them all, and it's consistent. It's like, in order to believe a different name than what I read, I have to also deny all these other names that have some kind of perfect consistency with that pronunciation, Yeho, when it's at the beginning of the name. There's all the other prophets and names that have those two letters, three, that do have the Father's name within their name are pronounced like that. But then there's other names too. Well, I don't need to go there, I guess. Hij. There's other names that can have the Father's name within their name meaning something. But I found out that regardless, it has to have at least two or three of the Father's letters next to each other. Every time I only find one letter in a word, like the Yud or something, or even two letters, but they're not next to each other, it never means the Father's name is something. So Yeshua doesn't have the Father's name within this name, this specific Hebrew word, this pronunciation. Then there's another, it's not in this section. It's going to be somewhere in here. Well, I guess I could go find it. And they put J on here because I guess that's what's accepted for how to write it down, but these are all Y. sounds, obviously, but you go in the J section, and then there's none in the Y section because of how it's written down. There's a Yeshua, another one that's Yeshua, but it's actually a name, which is different than the other Hebrew word I was just looking at. I'll see if I could find it. Here it is. It's a little E there, so that's Yeshua. And it's going to be in the King James, for example, as Jeshua, but pronounced Yeshua. So, but this is a little different than the other Yeshua, because this is somebody's name used 30 times. Well, actually, more than one Israelite. I think a few of them had this specific name pronounced Yeshua, and it means he is saved. It does not have the Father's name within this name either. Neither this one that's pronounced Yeshua or the other one that I just looked at that's translated as salvation. But this is someone's actual name, Yeshua, and it just means he is saved. So it has something to do with saved, but it doesn't have the Father's name saying something like the Father's name is salvation. And I found out why, because the Hebrew, which it doesn't show here, doesn't have at least 2 or 3 letters next to each other from the Father's name. So that then in the Strongs, it just doesn't say, the Father's name is something specifically. So those 2 Yeshuas, how could they be Messiah's name? Neither of those 2 words, Hebrew words, have at least 2 or 3 letters of the Father's name within the name. But Joshua's name does. It has the Yod He Vav next to each other. It does have 3 next to each other. It does have the Father's name within the name. Actually, I could probably find it here, right? Yeah. It's right on top of Yehovah. It's going to be Jeshua, whatever there, but it's Yehoshua. This one does have 3 of the Father's letters within Messiah's name, and it just seems like it's not accepted. It seems, I don't know, it seems simple. If someone can refute it, I'd like to hear it. If there's some kind of crazy error in what I'm saying and doing. Is it just that despised and covered up? We can't trust what we read? Because I understand the whole, pronunciation slightly different. That's not the point right now, but speaking of actual truth, 100%, not 95% or anything. How could it be Yeshua? That both of those words don't have the Father's name within those names, but Yehoshua does, specifically the Yud He Vav, and then Shua. But I've seen someone use that transliteration Shua, like I just went to earlier. That means riches and cry. That's the only 2 times it's used. But if you look at the root word etymology, it's actually the root word etymology of, where is the Y section? I don't know how, the literal Hebrew and all the details on how it works, but I think I found out at least how it doesn't work on some things. Now I'm not going to be able to find it, am I? Oh, there it is. When I look at the root word etymology for Yehoshua, it says the root word is this, yasha, which means to be saved. So, but his name can't be Yasha, though. But it is the root word of Yeshua. Now, I guess someone would have to trust that that's accurate. But, it seems stupid to me to doubt a few thousand years of people that actually knew Hebrew to get what we have today for these things, Strongs and root words. That's to deny that nobody knows the Hebrew at all and how the language literally works for 2,000, 3,000 years. Doesn't mean everything is right, but to say it's flat out wrong and start making things up seems not right. So I did find 2 Yeshuas, but I couldn't find a Hebrew word Yahshua. Does that mean anything? I don't know. I think, I don't know where that comes from. I mean, I kind of know why people would say that, I guess, but I don't even find a Hebrew word that's Yahshua. And I'm not sure if that, I don't know. There's all kinds of combinations and reasons people say, but then, there's yasha and there's yesha, which is translated salvation most of the time. So maybe that's why we see some that say that end in shah. But this is a Hebrew word. Shah is something different all by itself. You can't just find shah pronunciation and now go to some other word that has shah and say it means the same thing. Within this book, I've already proven you can't do that. It's a different word. Just like my name, Ryan, you can't go to some other word that has YA in it and now say it must mean what it means in my name, which I don't know. I'm just saying, trying to give an example with English, I guess, that we can't do that. You can't automatically do that. You have to know something about the language in Hebrew, of which I don't know much, but I feel like I know a little bit now on what not to do. And to say anything other than the Hebrew name that we have written is to deny all those other names too. I mean, they need to be proven wrong, that they're all wrong, the pronunciation, and something's wrong with the word. All those other names that have the pronunciation of the Father's name is Yeshua, other prophets, other people in Scripture. It's all consistent. Anybody can check. It's not just one thing then. If someone says it's not Yehovah, I'm finding out you have to also say that these other names are wrong. It's connected. I can't see it. It's connected. Something's wrong with all these other names too. And there's plenty of witnesses and they have a consistency to it. That means the scriptures are wrong or changed or butchered on pronunciation and names and words for not just one name or two, but many. But people don't bring that up. And I don't know. I don't like making something that it's not, but I mean, it seems that what the heart is doing isn't right though. With many, doesn't seem to be testing it without partiality and properly. I know the general consensus is like we can't really know for sure, but I don't believe that anymore. It's just hundreds of scriptures on the Father's name, all kinds of things about his name, and many times Messiah's name. You could do a search in the New Testament with an app many, many times. Messiah's name, something about his name. And now the Father hid it from his word. It's not in his word. It doesn't seem right to me. What does seem right is that it's right, always been here, but it's rejected. It seems like that's what man does. And the Father's hiding it while he's not hiding it, because that's just how bad it is when we don't seek it. But truth, anything, could be right in front of our face, and the world believes something else. Like the Trinity or something. It's not aware of all the scriptures that there's only one creator. I mean, it's overabundant that the Father is only one and there's none like him, no other, Elohim. But they go and find a couple scriptures, pull them out and put their Trinity tactic onto the word while ignoring all the scriptures. They just don't even look at them when they do that. Okay, what about all these scriptures that are very clear and undeniable? See, the only conclusion is that they say the scriptures literally contradict, but they never want to say that, though. But that's their work. So I don't go by whatever the majority says and world does, or minority either. If something's the minority, I won't automatically believe something either. But I definitely am not automatically believing for support, for proof, because a majority of someone says something. And I would think the majority of people say Yeshua or Yahshua, but maybe Yeshua is more common. It is common. It's probably more common than Yahushua, I would think, which seems closer than Yeshua because Yeshua is missing a sound in the middle of the name too. Not only does it not have the Father's name within the name, 2-3 letters in this word Yeshua and the other name, Yeshua, it doesn't have the Father's name within its name. And it's missing a complete sound. At least in Yahushua, it's U. That it's acknowledging that there's a Hebrew letter that exists there with the Hebrew name, but Yeshua ignores it. It's a Hebrew letter with a vowel pointing that says it should be pronounced. It's there, but Yeshua it's not there. It's missing. That's just another problem on top of these other ones, like 2 or 3 witnesses together. That doesn't seem like it can be Yeshua. And it's to deny also the word we have. With Joshua, that word means the Father's name is salvation. It's got the Father's name in it, so there's where we get the Father's name. And then the root word for Shua is yasha, which is salvation, to be saved. But does that automatically mean the Messiah's name is now pronounced yasha because the root word that's in Yeshua, Shua, means salvation? Now we say yasha. I don't believe it can work like that. That's like saying Ryan should be pronounced different because there's a root word that fits my meaning. So now I no longer say Ryan, but my name is Ryan. You don't change your name, But I would think most English names people don't say it or do anything for any meaning, even though if you look up your name, it's likely going to have some kind of meaning. But people, maybe some people look at meaning and say, I'm going to name someone because of this meaning, but it seems like we're far gone from whatever people did in Israel long ago, at least this one thing. Not much has meaning to this weird mixed up language. It's a mixing. It's who knows how mixed up languages are. It's way too deep with the Latin and this and that and how they spread out and became what they became. It's not original. It's coming from something that's original, and then it just mixed up and it just gotten more and more and more since the Tower of Babel, I guess. And there's not, English seems to be one of the biggest languages around the world. Is it at the top? One of them. If it's not at the top, it's probably at least second. Suppose everything is happening for a reason, but this is Babylon. It's all mixed up. It seems like the names are getting mixed up. But Jeremiah's name is not getting mixed up. Isaiah's name is not getting mixed up. Just the Father's name and Messiah's name, it seems to be. Nobody can know those two, but you can know all the others. But they seem to forget that if you acknowledge these others, that's to say that they know that some one name got butchered, the Father's name got butchered, and none of these others. I don't see any proof of that in historical record when you don't listen to what other people are saying. I don't see any proof that somebody changed his word thousands of times and nobody revolted, nobody noticed, no history left behind on this evil work that never was corrected either now for a few hundreds of years. I don't see the actual proof for that. It does require some kind of faith, though, to believe that what we have is preserved, though, no doubt. But truth does leave evidence behind. So does lies, because it plants it. So if you find and go back far enough, if it's planted, it just appears out of nowhere. There's no connection to it besides the people today mentioning it. But in historical records, if it's made up, nobody's talking about it back then because it was planted. That's how that works. Then it spreads out like a web. Everybody goes back to that so-called proof. But if you touch that thing and question it, there's nothing left. There's nothing left. Just speaking in general, how like a lie works. There seems to be nothing left because it was made up. I don't know how much has been twisted and made up to get to where we are today, 2022, with traditions and things. That has to be like exposed and put all in order to get the truth. 2,000 years of mixing. Well, longer than that, but speaking of from Messiah's time to now, it doesn't even go in someone's mind. See, that's why it's so strong. The questions don't even come up. If someone can even ask the right question, it's like a miracle already. And I have never found the Father's truth to be complex when it's given. It's always simple, and that offends people, simple things, because it makes them look bad, but that's not the intention, to make someone look bad and stupid. Just that the truth is simple and lies are complicated. Tries to make it look wise. In order to look wise, you have to be lying to some degree, because truth never tries to look wise, and it's never complicated. So you have to, lie a little bit at least to look wise in this world, in front of people, to believe that in their heart that you're wise. Nobody has to be wise and super smart to believe whatever I'm saying right now. It's just believing what we read. That's it. So if it's wrong, I haven't seen how it can be proven wrong if it is yet, but it has nothing to do with me. No one has to go through me to believe any of this. It's just believing what they read. It's got nothing to do with me. It seems to line up with how truth works. But the lies require you to believe some other person or group or thing or tradition in order to believe the truth, so-called. Did the disciples call Messiah Yeshua if that's not his name? How could they? But of course we have that Greek. So we got Jesus, but did they call him Jesus? Obviously not. But that's what we read, though, mostly, most Bibles, because of the transliteration. Then there's Aramaic that gets mixed in there, and it's a little bit different than Hebrew, and that's probably mixed up too in all of this too. It's definitely not Jesus, that's for sure. There's no Jah anyways. Jah. Maybe that's why I got this Jah in this book, and everybody puts down J, because it's not right. Why don't they just use Y, the proper sounding letter for the sound? If you're going to transliterate something, make it sound right at least. Why do I have to look at all the J names for the Y sound? But then again, if I were to really get bugged and warped for that, it would be about everything, because this kind of work is everywhere, about everything. It doesn't make sense. And products and businesses, people create products and they don't make sense. And then they ruin what people like, and they turn back on it and get a bunch of people angry, and it doesn't make sense. What is this? Seems to be so common, incredibly common. It's like, are they trying to make people furious and angry on purpose, or are they just in that much of a delusion for loving money? I think it's both. It enjoys controlling people like that, making them angry, and there's nothing they can do about it. It loves that. But I think it's that you have to be in a delusion to be willing to do that, though, because it's incredibly evil and stupid. Then it dumps its sin onto the people, the masses. Yeah, that doesn't work in heaven, though. The person doing the evil is the stupid one, first and foremost. Just because someone else gets deceived doesn't make them the stupid, deceived person. It doesn't work to dump someone's sins on someone else. You know? So when someone does sin, you're a retard for believing them. Where isn't this true? Who doesn't? This is done all the time. Why did you believe me? Someone says. They're covering themselves. They don't know what's going on spiritually. They're lying right there. They just tried to make their image look good and look wise when there's no wisdom at all, zero. They just did some evil, dumb work. And then when someone says something back to them in this world, it goes, why did you believe me, retard? You're stupid. You shouldn't have believed me. How about they shouldn't have done this retarded, wicked thing first? But no, that never happens. He didn't do that, or she. It's the other person only that's retarded, not them. Consistent work. We got to not do that. You just do the right work first so that second evil thing doesn't happen. So if someone has an evil intention and is trying to screw someone, expose them out of a wicked heart to make them look bad in front of people with that intention, that was an evil work, but then it covers itself if someone speaks back. It always covers itself with the right words. It's happening so much constantly in this world. It blows my mind. I just can't believe it. No one's seeing it. No one believes that's evil, save a few. People don't go and say they're God. That's not the point, although there would be some in very strong delusion that do say they're God or the Messiah that has come. But that's not, it's the heart that's God. That's what it is, the heart. Its works prove that it believes it's God, the creator, that it creates its golden calf like the Israelites did and says this golden calf got us out of Egypt when it has no power, no sight, can't walk, can't see, can't hear. We have one place in scripture where the true prophet is speaking to the false prophet. Scream a little louder. See if your God hears you. See if your Elohim hears you. Maybe if you scream a little louder, he'll hear you. This is hilarious. That's a strong delusion. We read all that for our admonition, like we read, so we don't do what the rebellion did in the wilderness. But how many are doing it today spiritually? How many have created a golden calf in their heart that are the many called that are doing that thing that we read in the heart? And even it's going on literally too. The Catholic Church is a beast. I mean, it's got images literally everywhere. How could it be so blind? But you don't have to have those images in order to be doing that sin, though, that we read. That's the spiritual sin and understanding that can be done in the heart, and the works can be done without doing the literal thing. But doing the literal thing requires you to do the thing in the heart, so that's wicked too. It's just that lower thing's a little more obvious. It requires like a stronger blinding to do it. A more tricky deception is looking better, looking like you don't do that, but you do. That would be a deeper deception. I think there's some other lesser known, lesser said names like Yahweh and Yahweh and Ayahawa. yasha, and like the combinations. Some of this is probably some Aramaic mixing, but then it's just different Hebrew words or Aramaic words mixed up. But why can't they just believe the Hebrew word that is the Father's name? It's right there. It's been there. Didn't appear in 2022. There's proof that it's been there in 1500. There's proof it's been there in 1300. There's proof it's been there in 500 AD. There's proof. They just try to hide it and make it look like there's no proof. Hebrew word's always been there. I don't see evidence that it got corrupted or changed. So now we have to believe some group that says it's Hayawaha, Hayashah. That's definitely not what I'm reading right now today. Definitely is not pronounced like that. It can't be. And none of these other prophets are pronounced like that. They're all Yeho consistently, or Yahoo at the end. Or the shortened name is 2 letters out of the 4 that just says Yah. It's interesting that when it's at the end of the name, which is only in part 2 or 3 letters at the most, but it's at the end, it's Yah or Yahoo. But it's not like that in the beginning for some reason, and I don't know exactly why that is. Does that mean what we're saying here is a lie automatically? That's how people work. Prove it. So just because we don't know one thing, all this other truth and evidence and the contradiction and all the lies proves it's all a lie. That's how they work. Corrupt. If I don't know everything the Creator knows today, right now, someone could do this work. Therefore, everything any believer says is all lies because we don't. They just create something that guarantees to prove you're a liar in their mind. That's easy. Anybody could do that. It's wicked. It's a God in its own mind, creating its own rules and laws to throw you down. Anytime I see that work, I know there's corruption and lies going on, and I see that work with the names everywhere. I see this work and lies and blinding everywhere. So who do you, somebody wants to be believed, I guess. It's all mixed up. If one person says it's pronounced like this, there's 20 others that says it's not, and they say it's right, just as convincingly as the others. And what I have found that they all have in common, that are all these other names, is that none of them believe what we read. Not even one that has it any different than what we read. If it's not what we read, they are all do not believe what we read. That's what they have in common. Now look at the works. Look how mixed up it is. Look at all the confusion and the disagreements. Maybe because it's being punished. That's the fruit of that work. If they just believed what we read, it would all come back to one, to his word, which goes to the Creator, which is simple. But I see too much with these other things. Where is their proof? Their proof is based on not his word. Neither was what I said either. That's what I realized, that it wasn't based off of his word at all. Zero. I mean, you could say it is because you're claiming that it's the 4 letters, but that pronunciation is not based off his word. It's ignoring the pronunciation that's there for some reason. That's what I want to know why. Is it because it's the truth? I know that name is blasphemed. I know the Jehovah's Witness says it like that, but maybe they exist so that it can be blasphemed. Have people considered that's how the devil works? It tries to make the truth look stupid by taking a bunch of servants that do stupid, evil things, but has a little bit something right or partially right so that it can make it look stupid. Then they connect you to some group that we have nothing to do with and say, you believe what they believe, you must be retarded. Yeah, that's not righteous judgment. Someone is bound to believe what you believe with the words. Everyone. Be connected to someone. A serial killer will have some same words that we do. Does it mean we're a serial killer automatically? Just automatically. Serial killer says please and thank you when he needs to. So if I say please and thank you, now connect me to the serial killer. Therefore, what we do is dump it. You're evil. What you said is a lie automatically because the serial killer says it. It needs to be removed. That can't be looked at. It can't be looked at. For yes or no. That's what I know. Can't be looked at for proof for yes or no. Because it's easily proven wrong. That person will end up being a hypocrite. It's very easy to prove when that tactic is done. They don't know that there's a bunch of hypocrisy in them. It's easy to prove every time. Then when you do it, people get angry for putting their judgment, judging what they judge back on them. Then they get angry. That's your judgment, though. We just used a different thing, used your reasoning and judgment back on you to show you that it's not right. Then they get angry. They get furious. We didn't do anything different than what they did. We just found something in their life or what they're saying or teaching or believing or whatever, and used the same tactic and reasoning, their judgment used back on them to prove and contradict, that it contradicted itself, condemned itself. And that's only done to show that something's not right. You can't do that. It's not right. Just as a hypocritical judgment or reasoning or tactic. This could apply to anything. Sometimes I would like to see someone try to do something just to see what it results. It just seems like I never even get that. Do they just stay quiet, everyone, everywhere? Doesn't matter where you go. For example, like Yeshua and all the groups that say Yeshua, prove this wrong now. Show how that name has the Father's name in it. You know what they're going to have to do? They're going to have to go to other sources and ignore his word completely. You have to. See if that isn't so. Look at the works for anything. You have to go crazy. You have to go somewhere far and beyond. Go in some Talmud or something. Go somewhere else. Go some tradition that has nothing to do with his word. It's a bypass. It's a loophole because they can't go through what we're saying. Because if they did, they'd be exposed. They can't do it. And I don't think they can do it with this either, as simple as it is. I don't think they can do it. Prove it wrong. There's nobody to do it. They just don't even do it. Just ignore you like you don't exist. Everywhere, about everything, not just this, anything. Anything that seems to be true is just ignored as if you don't exist. That's how they fix their problem. You could write paragraphs and paragraphs to people and they just pretend it doesn't exist. Now they fix the problem. That's acting as if it's God. It's actually a coward. It's no God, that's for sure. It's a coward. It can't even acknowledge what's in front of it. It just keeps repeating its same thing over and over while it ignores what you did. This is the work of evil. It doesn't even acknowledge it so often because it sees that if it did, there would be a problem for its image. Therefore, it does not, and thinks that's the literal fix in its heart. That's the scary part. It actually believes it works. I've seen these things. I've seen problems. I've seen separations. I've seen other witness that has experienced the same things. For example, if someone separates you, there's a distance between two people. Let's say that the separation happened because someone did what was right and now the other's a sinner. When the separation happens, the sinner sees that there's separation. Therefore, it says you separated from it. That's it. It literally believes that it works. But we're speaking of truth here. We're saying that it actually was the righteous act by a believer that did what's right. Therefore, the separation happened. Let's say that's absolutely true. That's the truth in heaven. That sinner will see the separation and say, you did what it did every time, period. You've never seen anything else when it happens. It accuses you of doing what it did, and then it goes away. You're the lawless one. It does. That's what it does. You're wicked. You're lawless. The apostle's lawless, blind attacks on his word. Look at this consistency. They always say Shaul. They never say Paul, ever, with the Hebrew word Paul. Why? I don't see people saying Abraham. At some point, he's Abraham. I don't care what the details are. At some point, he's Abraham. At some point, Saul is just Paul. But this is not about saying some name. It's about what the heart's doing. It's just being connected to this topic. They say Shaul. That's Saul. That's not Paul. They use the old. They never say the Paul in Hebrew, ever. I don't care that that's happening. I'm just examining the heart. Why is it so consistent? What is going on? It's like a rock. Why? Do the backwards thing. Why call him Saul continually when this man, this believer, this apostle was not that same man anymore because of the Creator? But keep calling him Saul, though, which is Shaul. And then people will say that's Sheol, the grave, and it's a completely different word. Does not mean grave. And even if it did mean grave, so what? Everybody's in the grave first. Everyone's a sinner first. So what? Doesn't prove anything. Now he's not called grave. If he was called grave, Paul is not grave. What's their point? It's desperate to attack his word, try to break people and destroy all of it. You destroy the apostle, everyone else is connected to him. How could they believe in a believer that's actually divided, literally divided spiritually? Is Messiah divided in reality? Is there a reality to this? Or is division proof they're not of him? That's the devil's work. Division, dividing, scattering. Whoever doesn't, how do we read it, Messiah? Whoever doesn't bring together scatters abroad. That's it. One of the two is happening always. People want to go their own way. They don't want to listen to the Creator and do his will. Seek truth from him, not wanting to believe anything, nothing. I don't want to believe this is true. It sounds bad, doesn't it? This is the only truth I know, is not wanting to believe anything, just seeking truth. That's it, waiting, see where he leads you. I read he will guide us and lead us into all truth. So then we can't want something to be true with our own heart that's already been there and then want it to be true. Then that's where someone will end up every time, because they want that and did not actually seek the Creator at all. They wanted something of their own. Something of their own. They want Shaul to mean Sheol. Prove he's wicked. It's a stupid tactic. Can't get through to them. But there's many people doing similar things. Many people saying, teaching, thousands of people watching that he's the anti-Messiah that created the church world. Pretty dangerous spiritually what they do. Evil work. These people disappear, they die, they get sick. Nobody ever mentions it when it happens because the work they do is severely evil. And yet, at the same time, many of them live till 100 years old. Both are true. Doesn't prove anything by itself. It's just noticing, seeing things, not using it for absolute proof. It's just that when those things happen, everybody's a grasshopper. Someone gets bit in the face by a snake and dies because they were handling snakes in the church. You can find people on YouTube that died because of their severe delusion and pride. Why would you want to handle a snake on purpose and start screaming at people? And this is worship. This is delusion. They're just going to read the letters that kill. Yes, they do kill. They kill, even literally, when you only understand them literally. Sometimes they kill literally, let alone spiritually. When you take Messiah's words only literally by the letters that kill, the apostle knows. Go handle snakes and look wicked to all the unbelievers out there. Look like a demon that's messing with a poisonous snake. What kind of witness is that? Testimony is that to an unbeliever? You think they'll ever get good fruit out of that? No, they will mock those people every time, even if they pretend to be nice to them. When they're at home by themselves, they're calling them wicked fools and mother effers, stupid effers. They're offended by that, what they see. And these people think it's saving people by handling snakes. How can't they see that they're handling snakes because their father is the snake, the devil, that's their father? What world do we live in? That's just one thing out of trillions of things, handling snakes. One thing, getting bit and then not going to the hospital because it cannot believe that it's dying. It cannot believe that it's dying, and it has to complete its delusion to make it look like it has faith when it has none. That's scary. That is frightening. That is a strong delusion. You have to continue the delusion to your death, lest someone say you didn't believe what you said for your image. How can't they see that that doesn't work, that the person actually died from some foolish thing, and that it is stupid? But in their mind, as long as they complete the delusion, it's not stupid to them. These people don't have faith that get bit by snakes and die and don't want to go to the hospital because they believe the Creator will heal them for doing wickedness. They're lying. They're deceiving people. It's working. Now, it doesn't work for everyone, that carnal tactic. That's why this world's divided. Some people will have enough clarity for whatever reason to see through that. They'll get trapped by something else. So then one devil attacks another, offended at its blind stupidity, but it's blind also that the other person sees at it that it doesn't see. Somehow the Creator has balanced out creation so no one can boast. At the end of the day, no one boasted. No one. If we boast, it better be through the only true way. If I boast in Messiah, if you people can all do that, what we can't do a little righteous boasting towards Messiah, which is selflessness. If we don't understand this, people will attack it. They'll attack those words. So not boasting out of pride. Contrasting the evil thing too good. Isn't giving praise to the Creator some form of boasting? Yes, it is. But it's good, though. It has nothing to do with self and seeking self-glory. Now, that's not the word people would use, but it is some kind of boasting, though. Just not evil at all. So it's a fine line to make sure not doing the spiritual evil thing. Making sure not doing the sin, making sure not going on this extreme, making sure not going on the left extreme or the right extreme. That would be like walking to the left or right off of the narrow, straight path. Sometimes it's incredibly tiring to see all of this mixed confusion. It truly is that. Look how true his word is. It's mixed. It's confusion. It's Babylon, no doubt. Everyone's pitted against each other. No one's being brought together as one, save a few. But I mean, it's like even finding that is like, is he going to do it? I believe, yes, he is. But among trillions of divisions or thousands, hundreds of thousands, uh, whoever the true people are, they're just one more division out of thousands and thousands and thousands. That's all. But that's okay, though. I'm not supposed to boast, be prideful, raise themselves up. It's only going to be a delusion to do that work. And death. Part of the judgment is believing contradicting, worthless, dumb, stupid things. People don't get it. Part of the judgment is that. It's a punishment to be that dumb. So we have to seek the Creator constantly. Because we're coming out of the delusion that we already were in Egypt. Unless someone would like to say Egypt represents truth and righteousness in Scripture. They can't do that. Not even an enemy could do that. Not even they would do that, would they, in the church world? Lest they say the Father is getting them out of perfect truth and righteousness. There is no way to attack his truth without being exposed as a lying contradictor. Someone should appreciate that. The Creator's truth. You can't be done. Literally can't be done. You just made an example there. If Egypt is the truth, then the Father pulled them out of it. That's stupid. It's a lie and contradiction. That means he's making them do, he's leading them to evil. That's his intention. Of course, that's not what he's doing. He's taking us out of evil into light, good, truth, which is himself, through Messiah, through Joshua, Yeshua. But, unless the Father shows me it's utterly stupid and delusional and wrong to just believe what I read, I guess I'll just default to saying that. It seems like I see too much to say anything else right now. Sort of like an in-between state until he solidifies something. It's not a comfortable state, but it always seems to have to be, in order to get truth, it always has to be that for a while, seems like, where you don't know 100% sure. And yet, it does seem like anything else is some kind of denial of his word, though. And yet it's still maybe not 100%. I know one thing's for sure, I didn't want to believe this. It is nice that the Father gives us enough light to see what we did or did not want. Didn't want to believe this. Just being led to see some of it. Didn't want to believe this. It just like one question makes you ask another, and like he opens your eyes, sees you were doing something not right. Believing something that's a lie or stupid or evil. With no proof or whatever, contradicting. So that's the fine line not to want something to be true, just keep seeking whatever is true, but not wanting something to be true. Those are how you say the words, but to do that now is something that I can't show or give, or no one else can either. But those are the words. Now doing it has nothing to do with what I said. I mean, it does in that it's the right words, but now speaking of the actual work in the heart has nothing to do with the words that I said. There's a divider there, but they are the right words, but that's not doing it. Saying the words all by itself is not doing something. I will take my trash can out to the street, and you never do it, but you keep saying you will. No reality. You have to do it. Now it's good. Now the two become one. You did what you say. When someone does it, that's proof they're understanding it because they're doing it. When someone never does it, it's proof they're lying and don't understand it because they never do it. This is where we come out of. This is where everyone's in by default, where you could just say whatever you want, but it's a lie though. And it's like no sin, no big deal. Man, I'll do this, I'll do that. And like you only say that just to look good in that moment. We can't be doing that forever. It's got to come out of that. I think that's all I got on this one. I'm just sharing what I am coming to see on some of these things. If there's anyone in the whole entire world that thinks it's delusional, they can freely say so. I'll read and listen. But that will be tested too. It's not going to just be blindly believed either. See, it has to be free and open in the heart. This is like the Creator's miracle. It's easy to say. Doing something is a whole different thing. I've came across people that said those words, show me, show me. They were shown that they were in great error. And now their words were tested. Show me, tell me if I'm in error, show me in the scripture. And they lied. They never did what they said, but they still think today in 2022 that they did when they got proven that they didn't. Because they did the works of ignoring, attacking, making fun, never answering directly, ever. They did all those works that prove that they never did that work, but they claim it all the time. Very easy to say. It sounds good. That's good. It's commendable to say the right words, and yet it's not commendable because it's just saying the right words to sound good. If that's all it does, then it's not doing what it says. It must not know what it means. It must not understand it. It attacks proving and testing all things. It thinks you do sin by questioning something if it's done right. Then what do they read, test, and prove all things for? We can never do that, ever. Then the guy says, show me where I'm wrong. Then when you do, you're doing evil automatically. So they obviously don't believe those words, show me where I'm wrong with the scriptures. They don't believe it. They're liars. They don't believe the words they say because they attack it and they ignore and they do all the works of evil, and evil fruit is left behind and they scram and run away. It's a scary thing. Never wanted that. It just seems to always happen. You never know who's a snake in this world. Snakes have big mouths. That's all they do, though. And they bite people, and they talk a lot. They never do what they say. Messiah said that the Pharisees and Sadducees never did what they say. They lift heavy burdens and point finger and condemn them. Talk about adultery literally or something, and yet they commit spiritual adultery. Never lift a finger up, not even once, for what they say. But it's easy to tell people that some of you in my congregation are going to go to hell. They're not going to be saved. Some of you in here, like they like to do often, makes them feel good. Then they always like to say also, I'm not going there. I'm definitely not going there, but some of you are. That's evil, man. Sick, false humility, false righteousness. I'd like someone to show me how you can say those words and it's good with good intentions. I don't see that it can be done. Your own people, supposedly brothers. So you tell a true brother or sister, you're not going to make it. You're definitely not going to make it, some of you. I'm God. Wicked brothers and sisters, some of you are not going to make it. Oh, I guess that's edifying the body. Yeah, that's what it is. That's correcting them when they're just needing to be corrected, or encouraging or edifying, right? It's all those things. It's none of those things. Crazy, crazy. It's so easy to believe images, nice, comfortable images, sounds, images, comfort. But it's working destruction to just blindly believe them without seeking the Creator's truth and testing it. It's there for a reason, to try to get people to believe a lie. There's this truth, and this is the truth. Everyone who is of the enemy never believes they do whatever someone says that they can see they're doing. They never believe they do that, ever. Never forget it. They can never believe they're doing the actual sin. No one. If they're an enemy, they never believe they do the actual evil, ever. They're never wrong in the heart about anything. That's not been my reality. I know that's not been my reality. I don't even know what that means. Learning is constantly proving we were wrong and didn't know. But I know that if it's a devil, if it's an enemy, they never will own up to it, what they do. If someone sees it or it's exposed, it's told to them, they will never own up to it, because a snake never does, ever. It's not, that's the work of a snake. A fool cannot be corrected, period. They will not change. If the evidence, if the scriptures of everything's going against what they're teaching and saying to prove something, and it's obvious by their works, they just keep on going. You don't exist. John MacArthur isn't going to change tomorrow unless the Creator's lightning strikes him, because, it would be a pretty severe thing to change now all of a sudden. But that's not about knowing any individual. It's just trying to bring out what a rock hard, hardened person is. It's not changing. It's selling merchandise. It's grouping up with powerful people in and of the world. It's tax exempt, rich, filthy, loaded. It's all they care about and can think about is how to screw someone. But the many people that love them believe the image he creates, which makes us look violently evil to them. That's how the devil protects itself, by making itself look good, but making the truth look viciously evil for an image. That's how it protects itself. It stores up guns and money behind a wall just in case. It's always doing that work. It's got backup so that it never dies. If its image is torn down, it's got an image that it created somewhere else so it can come alive again. It's freaky. Storing up stuff in the wall is perfect lack of faith. Guns, money, stuff, just in case something really bad happens, someone attacks me. Why are they doing that? Well, they should expect it because they're doing evil. And then it comes. And they punch the hole in the wall like they show in the movies, and off they go, killing people, whatever they need to do to save their soul. How often do they show the destruction of that work? These people think they're BAs. They're tough men. No, they're hardened rocks and killers. They're murderers. They're just putting on an image that they're tough. They're not tough. They can't stop what they're doing. That's the truth. They can't stop. That's not tough. That's perfect weakness. They cannot stop. And they tell you that a lot too. They tell you that all the time. But then when it's brought up in truth and reality, people get angry, but they can cheer the movie. They can cheer this guy or that guy, this preacher man or that preacher man. They can cheer the preacher man saying similar words because they say it out of delusion. That's why they can cheer it. It's not real. They don't believe the words they say. That's why they can cheer it. Clap their hands like I read to the lie. What on earth must the kingdom of heaven manifested in its fullness look like? It would be hell for everyone right now that's not of the Father. The kingdom of heaven is hell to them. How it runs and works and everything would be hell. They'd rather kill themselves before they did a righteous work. Yes, sir. That's how lost mankind is. It's who the carnal man is. Without the Creator, he's wicked, lost, hates all righteousness and truth. This world it loves because it runs evilly. It's not running like the kingdom of heaven would run. But the kingdom of heaven today is only within a few people. It's not this world. It's not here like that manifested. It's of this world, the devil, the God of this world. But what would it look like if it was here in the full? It would look like whatever the perfect spiritual and everything 180 that this world is. That's what it would look like, the perfect 180, whatever that would look like. Turning the world upside down is a problem to the Pharisees and leaders of religion. Spreading the true Messiah and gospel is a problem. It's a threat to their systems and their wickedness that's going to perish. It exposes it. That's why it needs to stop. It needs to stop it and kill it. Messiah is being preached. This is a problem, they said. Soon everyone's going to believe him. The world's turning upside down. Right, because it's backwards. Them turning it upside down is actually flipping the wickedness over 180 because it's backwards. And yet what happened in reality? The devils came and attacked like the apostle knew what happened. And from that day forward, it's been like that ever since. There's never been many thousands of people in one location, mega churches of true believers. Ever since that the wolves came and destroyed and killed, it's been like that ever since. I'm convinced the most believers in any one location that there ever was right towards the beginning. Just a scattering ever since. Because the devil will not have it. Will not have it. All the people will come against them because they're working for their father, the devil, connected to the Father, the devil. You will see the rock hard stubbornness like I've seen. Can't even give you a sandwich at Big Town Hero for some strange reason out of the blue. Can't even give a sandwich to go and deliver to someone. That's how desperate it needs to make you look like you're a thief when it doesn't want to give me it for no reason. It called security, and security was about to call the cops for standing there waiting for the sandwich that wasn't even my own. It cannot do good. It cannot do what we ask, ever. Never. It's crazy. It's insane. It's such a violent hatred for the Creator. It's unbelievable. It's standing there shaking, running back and forth before grabbing that sandwich that's literally 10 feet away from me and just handing it over. It's that prideful and wicked. It cannot do it. Can't do it. You have to go away, start calling the cops for a sandwich. That's why world wars start. It starts for lesser things. Someone calls the cops for not giving a sandwich over. Must have been a reason. You must have shot him or something. You must have done something wicked. That's what the snakes will say every time because they cannot believe. the works. Cannot believe our words. That it's for no cause. Okay, Christian, you read that. Now, when it applies in reality, you never believed what it actually means, that they hate you without a cause. No righteous cause. You never believe that, but you say you believe in some God. Never believed what it means, ever. Because when that reality applies in reality, what that actually means applies. They do not believe it. They attack it. It's only okay to say those words in a delusion, in no reality. Nothing to do with the heart, no reality. Freaky. It's like that with everything. I don't love money. No reality. When they see the reality of not loving money, they attack it. They try to make you love money. They do trickery and tactics and works to get you to love money, to desperately want you to love money. If you were to say, why are you doing that? They would freak out and say, you're wicked. How dare you say we're doing that? That's how confident they are behind their little wall of delusion. It's like watching a 5-year-old play. We see it plainly. They think that it can't be seen because the pride is that blinding. It's that blind. It's literally blind. We don't read blind because, okay, say the word blind. No, it means something. It means they're blind. They can't see. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing. They're doing it because they're blind. Works prove it. See, the blind person doesn't know that they're blind or how blind they are. They don't believe that. In their heart, they don't. So every way that man works, his works don't work because he doesn't believe the truth. He's never blind. Father says mankind's blind with a deceitful heart, wicked, desperately wicked, and wayward, incurable. That's nobody's heart, though. Somebody else's heart. It's not mine. That's why the apostle said he's the chief of sinners, because he knows this truth. He knows the war. He knows he's wicked. But now he has hope in Messiah, of which without, it's just wickedness. That's it. It's just slaying Messiah's people, thinking you're working for some God. Studied in the scriptures, studied in all this stuff. You know, he's a Pharisee. He knows the word supposedly really well, really studied carnally, and he's going and killing Messiah's people or voting for it, persecuting the real believers. Pretty frightening that that's all that can happen if it's not a believer. They always will believe they are, every single time. All of them. Not a single Jew in Jerusalem believed they were wicked and unbelievers. They only believed Messiah's people were in their heart and never anything else, ever, till their death. Messiah said, you will die in your sins. He told the truth, that they were devils, snakes, and hypocrites, and they couldn't hear his words because what he was saying was true. It's frightening. This is the enmity between the serpent seed and the woman's seed. The righteous have nothing to do with the wicked, and the wicked have nothing to do with the righteous. It's always been this way. A shining light, put him on a stake. King of the Jews, kill him. He didn't do any evil, literally. Nothing, not even a single sin. That's what, put him on there with the bad guys. Release Barnabas. Have mercy on the wicked. Yeah, that's still going on today. That's why someone can get out of prison after 5 years after they kill someone. They don't care. You do the tiniest thing to the coward devils out there, you go to prison for 50 years if you're a believer. It's what they would try to do. Someone could kill someone and you're of the devil. You might get out in 5 or 10 years. You can't do that with all people. You know why? Because then the people would say something's bad with the image. You're letting everyone go in 5 years. So they have to keep some of them in there for a lifetime. They don't work out of righteousness. They only work out of images. They don't do anything based on if it's spiritually right. They work according to their own dictates of their own heart and their own laws that they created and think is right and off of images. If it needs to protect itself, it creates its own rules to protect itself. Now it calls it the law. Now, if you break the law, you're in trouble, but we could break it all the time. We could put mercury in the ocean and poison everything. We don't care. If you do 1,000th of 1% of that, you're going to prison for years. What we did, we ruined the whole entire ocean. If you just threw a cup in the ocean, you're going to prison, or you're going to, pay a steep fine for that cup. Not saying to litter, that's not the point. These people are cruel, wicked, and viciously evil with no mercy. Everybody's believing some weird Mickey Mouse kingdom magical thing. There's no reality to it. They're full of wrath. They're desperately bent on people's destruction. Because a destroyer can only destroy. If he's destroyed, he destroys. That's what's good to him. He has to destroy. It's a judgment from above. They have to drink blood. They have to go and kill because they're dead. Those that are alive, they must do life because they're alive. And the dead do death. There's no lukewarm work. It's one or the other. Now, if someone's lying, they're doing the works of the devil. They're lying. It's not loving neighbor at all, zero. If it's a lie, it's an evil work. They hate them. Doesn't matter how good the image looks. People will make sure they look good on purpose so no one can touch them. They're God. So that they can do all their actual evil in their heart. They'll make sure they look good doing evil, so no one can say they didn't do evil. They make sure of it. It's why they do it. It's an insurance. You can't prove any of this to anybody in this world. It's pretty frustrating. You can't do that. Throw you in prison. You'll be a lunatic. You'll be crazy psycho like they show you in the movies they are. You're a retard, and everyone's offended at the retard because they don't know what they understand. They're afraid of what they don't understand, so they must attack it. Nobody believes the person in the movie telling the truth, but he's the retard now. He's insane. That's the devil right there. That's how the devil works. They're telling you the truth right in front of us. It doesn't matter what the subject is. There's something true about that. It's what they do. They're literally bent on you. They're little devils protecting the system. They act like they love their job. They can't do one drop of a righteous work. Then they act like they love their job and don't want to break their rules. It's a stupid cover. 5 minutes ago, they were cussing about how much they hate their job. Now, when it comes to do one right thing, you stand up for the rules. You stand up for the retarded thing. I can't give you $1 and you give me this because of some weird rule now that you will not budge for because you love your soul and hate doing righteousness. Afraid of losing your job now. It's all you care about. Now you worship the rules of your job while you hate it at the same time. Sick. Who doesn't know this isn't true? Everyone who isn't, who hasn't slandered their own job, but then they act like at the proper time like it's their God. They worship it. They worship its laws. When it's coming time to do one right thing for someone, they don't do it. They worship their laws and their job. They worship the people above them. They're afraid of them. And the people above them are afraid of the people above them. And the people above them are afraid of the people above them. And everyone says, it's just a job. I have to do what my job says. That's their excuse. All the same, their excuse for doing evil. They think it works. They want you to pity evil. Not pitying evil. It's your excuse. It's not righteous. That's your excuse. Just doing what my boss tells me to, man. I'm sorry you're in Egypt. Enslaved to your boss for doing evil. It's not an excuse in reality. Oh, cut off heads because someone told you to. That justifies it in people's minds. It means that it was less sinful or not sinful because the authority said so. Yes, authority killed Messiah. If it wasn't deadly wicked, then Jerusalem wouldn't have ate their own kids and the Romans wouldn't have slashed them up and destroyed them utterly if it wasn't viciously wicked. No excuse with the Creator. No excuse with the United States. It's going to burn. I don't see that anyone actually believes it. When it comes time for reality, they don't believe it. People, the many called, many people, they don't believe it. They believe the delusion. They want to believe it's going to continue to go the same way every day, every single day. They don't believe sin causes death. They don't believe the Creator judges nations. They don't believe anything. They're viciously against the Creator. You speak truth in this world and everyone gets angry, starts staring at you like a bunch of creeps in the night. What is that freaky thing there right there that spoke truth? Kill it. You can't imagine how offensive it is. Your neighbor can pretend to love you all the time if you're next to it, as long as you do evil and you do what they want you to do. When the Creator tests you to see if you're going to do what's right and truth, if you do it, they will turn from you and hate you. Now they know who you are. You're not playing their game, pretending to love them like they're doing that to you. They figured out something's not right. You did what's right. Something's not right. How can't people see that when they say, hi, have a nice day, it's completely fake? There's no truth in it. Zero. They only do that because they have to. That's why people get angry. They shouldn't get angry at the waitress. She's just doing her job. Doing her job and, a little bit of control when it needs to. A little bit of, I'm gonna show you that you can't say no to me. Does that too. And then when something happens, when it gets attacked back, it wonders why. Because it wasn't real from the beginning. It gives you a drink for free. So that it goes, oh, do you want to do something later? Is that why you gave me a free drink? Did you just cover a lie? Oh, you accidentally forgot an item that I asked for, but you gave me a free drink so that I don't see that you did that. Every day you do that. All of you are the same. You did that every day for over a year. These tricks and games every single day can make you go insane. It's unbelievable. They think it works. You tell them what happened, and they die. They instantly die. They go crazy. They start shaking. They can't believe that someone called them out for what they did. Why'd you do that? That's all. Why'd you do that? Nobody ever does that. They make you look bad by acting real nice the whole time. So by the time if you want to do what's right, you have to look viciously, violently evil, and the whole restaurant will attack you if you do what's right. Get out of here, wicked. How dare you do what you did? I'll make you wait 30 extra minutes for your order. 30 minutes by forgetting one sandwich on purpose at Denny's over and over and over at just one place, back to back to back to back, all the time, every day, every single day, on purpose, every day. That's who they are. and nobody notices. They must be doing evil if this is not happening to them. They must be wicked. I don't know how you can not have these things happen to you for doing good. Creator will send them. He says, come, and it comes. Doesn't matter what's going on in someone's mind. Just the evil makes me shiver. So evil. It's pathetic and cowardly. It has nothing. It's empty and void. Thick darkness. It violently needs to kill people because it's dead. And when someone raises up and with God powers in a movie, it goes and destroys all cities, starts killing people because it's angry at all the kids that made fun of it. Man can't handle any power. He only destroys when he has power. In and of the world, he destroys. He's a destroyer. I don't know. It's so weird. Delusion, frightening. It's hard to believe it's this bad. And we'd be the same. No different. Which is also hard to believe that it wouldn't be any different continually. Be in some kind of delusion forever in our life, continually. Makes me sweat whatever the Creator has next. If it was that tough last time, what on earth is it going to be this time? Who knows? Must be so. Doesn't matter. Still do good somehow, some way, not from self. Self can't do it. The Father's proven that to me. Can't do it. He doesn't want to do that naturally. It only can look like it does good when there's zero pressure and its image is looking good. As soon as a little testing comes and its image looks bad, it slashes people, violently attacks back, because it only can look like it's doing good when there's no testing pressure for its image looking bad. That's how it gets away with looking good. It's slavery to be in religion as some delusional leader that has to continue his lie until his death. That's a severe slavery. And the snake handlers have to continue their delusion until their death, or else, I'm trying to bring out what goes in someone's mind, what's really actually happening. They have to continue the lie lest they look bad and stupid, but their lie is stupid. They can't see that, but they have to do that in their mind. And the people it deceives goes blind. They're so confused and lost. You know how confused someone would be when someone gets bit by a snake and dies in 5 minutes, that was screaming about Jesus Christ, and now they're dead right in front of them? I wonder what that does to all those people. Can only destroy them more. Crazy, but they have to all believe their own lie too, so they got to keep handling snakes because they cannot believe they're in a delusion, so they got to keep going. Keep going. Get someone else to replace them. Handle more snakes. It can't be what I've chosen as delusion, therefore I must continue deeper in it. Works like that for everything. So there's a freedom to just acknowledge the truth. I screwed up, done, free. Something the devil can never do, ever. And man can't do it without his mercy. This is the freedom, the law of the liberty versus slavery to sin means you can't get out of it. You have to do it. Otherwise, why do we read slave? Or spirits in prison. They're in their own prison to their own self. The light must be so perfect contrast to this evil and darkness and confusion. Well, it is, but what will it look like when it like exposes, when the Father exposes everything? But no one seems to consider in the church is that maybe, why someone is in the condition they're in is so the Father can have mercy on them in due time. Not even considered. I think that's it. It seems like it got heavy. Doesn't matter where you go. There's no partiality with evil in its own way. They all do the same. Evil works to you. But it is partial. But in a way it's not partial. It likes attacking what's good without partiality. Always. As long as you worship someone, they'll pretend to love you. If you call out what they're actually doing, loving money, now everyone's going to attack you. So no one has the guts to do it, but our job is not to go out and call. That's not the point. Call out every little single thing we see. Because then that's like doing an unimaginable work. It's not going to work anyway. But at the proper time, if it's done, if that's what needs to be done, it won't be loved. Oh, that one guy, many, many times. Thanks, man. Have a nice day. But the one time he didn't want to give me the sandwich, all his wickedness was poured out and showed that every other time before that was fake, all of it, because now this proves it was fake. It's fake. I wasn't faking. I guess you were faking. Just smiling and like sounding like everything's good. And I don't know. Now you blew up. You lost it. Now you proved it was all fake. It wasn't real. Everybody's standing watching this stupidity for just saying, please give me the sandwich. No, won't do it. So gotta go. Nobody stood up for it. There's a bunch of people around everywhere. They just stare. They're zombies. They saw it. They know something wasn't right, that this was stupid. They know it. I know they know it. Something in there deep inside, they know. They don't have the guts to say anything because they're wicked too. They're just in shock. They don't know what to do. They have no power. And they say the people have the power. Yeah, as long as they're doing evil, they have power. To be screaming their heads off for a bunch of delusion, they have power. They have no power to do good. I don't see it. I don't see the actual proof in this world that people have power to do good. They literally don't have any power. It has to be given. Watch out for bribes. It's almost never good. Someone tries to bribe you or randomly give you money for no reason and you didn't work for it. Question it. Why are they doing it? Happens all the time. That's a gift. That's a bribe. Gifts are bribes to the wicked. They're one and the same thing. They use them for evil to try to get you to believe something, usually, or to try to make you look like a sinner if you take it. They act like they want to give you a gift, but in their mind, secretly, since you took it, now you love money. Twisted, contradicting. They'll never admit that part, though, for the reason, though. Okay, so you ask, why are you doing this? And they say, I don't know. There's no zero reason. There's always something. No one just does that for no reason. No thoughts have entered its mind. It just wants to give you a gift so badly, and you didn't work for it. There's a reason every time. But, it doesn't expect you. It's casting spells on you. It doesn't want you to know. So it doesn't even expect you to ask, why are you doing this? It's shocked when you do. It's how blind it is. It's how strong it thinks it's God. And this fails over and over and over again in people, and they still do the same work and act like nothing happened. They forget all the times they've failed their prophecy and power, that they showed that they had none. They keep doing the same thing as if they never did it before. That's how prideful it is. It forgets all righteousness and remembers all evil that everyone ever did to it, and forgets all good and truth that came its way. Forgets all of it. I see the proof for that. This is how the Father's prophecy works. You tell someone you can't do anything different, and you won't, and they don't. Or you tell someone you're going to forget. 2-3 days are going to pass by, and you will literally never think about it, and it happens. Of course, there's no proof once again. They'll just say, huh? What? I don't remember anything. Just lie again and again. I've seen what I actually read. It's scary. I've seen what I read, where Messiah tells them. What do we read? Why do you seek to kill me? And they go, I don't know. Who seeks to kill you? And they're literally chasing him. They want to destroy him. He says, why do you seek to kill me? And they go, who seeks to kill you? I saw that work. Different words, same work. Blind. It's obvious it's doing something, and you go, why are you doing this? And it goes, huh? I didn't say anything. I didn't do anything. Huh? It literally believes its own lie. Never repents for it. It still believes it to this day. That's a lot of sin that's stored up. Wow, that's strong. Got to be watching out not to do that work. That's strong. It's like incredibly obvious someone's doing something, and then they go, huh? I never said it. I never did anything. What are you talking about? Huh? And they literally believe it. Never think people don't believe it. They literally believe lies. That's what I've learned. They try to make it look like that's not true. Yes, it is. They literally believe their own lies in their own heart, literally. Yeah, they do. It gets hardened and worse and worse. Everything this world does makes our Father look just like a liar. Everything. No, they do believe their own lies. They're in literal delusion, but they try to make it look like they're wise and not in delusion. They're only doing that because they are. Someone only needs to show how wise they are to a bunch of people. Look how wise I am, because it has no wisdom. Otherwise, it would never do that. It would never do an image and want people to worship it and go out of its way to do the work to show how wise someone is. It's why someone does something, because it has no wisdom. When that's the work, it's doing it because it has no wisdom. It's crying about how mighty it is, how it reversed the Father's word and now calls it the Mirror Bible and thinks nobody can notice. And it's working. The Mirror Bible is working for thousands of people. because the guy cries and believes he's mighty God, crying about himself, how amazing he is. Literally calls it the mirror, which is the perfect opposite. Hello? It's the devil right there working through the messenger. It wants to destroy his word, these devils, so badly. They can't do anything unless the Father allows it. It should have been burned up a long time ago. Whatever they're teaching for truth, saying the truth is, these are snakes. It wants to corrupt. It wants people to believe in some kind of corruption. As long as it's corrupt, it knows that that will work sin. The devil knows if it gets you to believe a lie, it'll work for corruption. It doesn't matter what it is. And now, believe in some mirror Bible that literally teaches that you are your own God. He's God. Just uses God as a cover. He's talking about himself. It's the same spiritual work, but some have gone in stronger delusion and they create literal backwards Bibles. It's a sign that this person's on the brink of destruction, more hardcore than the average person. It's why they're doing what they're doing. They have no rest day or night. They cannot sit still and not deceive someone. It's impossible. The closer it is to the devil, the smoother, the more it smiles, the more it's soothing and nice and amazing it sounds, the more wonderful, the more it makes people cry. It's getting closer to the devil and who he is. That is the devil masquerading as a messenger of light. And everything in between exists. And that guy, he's smooth, always smiling. They always make sure to smile. They always need to create the image for the delusion that they're in. They're in slavery to their own soul. They can't not do what they do. And I suppose believers can't not do what's righteous. Everyone's a slave, either to righteousness or to sin. Either a slave to righteousness or a slave to sin. Is it bad to be a slave to righteousness? Is that slavery? Or is being a slave to righteousness the opposite of what wicked slavery to sin is? So robotic, so fake, nothing real. Cold, cold world. Love is absolutely waxed cold. Rebellious kids everywhere. And they're wicked. Never could see it, never saw it. Go to these places, wait in line, and it's wicked. Never saw it. It's wicked everywhere. It's monstrously prideful and wicked and full on rebellion. Never saw it. It's all it thinks about is itself. It's going to be the worst at the end than it ever was. It already is, but it's just for an understanding. This is the devil's world and like almost the perfect manifestation of it, but we have a few more steps to make it even more fake. Cryptocurrency, take away all power, or all, not that people have power, but remove whatever people do have and think they have. Remove more of that. Just worshiping the image of the beast and some digital god that doesn't exist. It's just someone's corrupt mind It's the mind of the devil. It's not even a physical thing anymore. That's how you can control people, because it's not physical. Do people know what worshiping the image of the beast is? I wonder what they think is coming. Everyone already is. They always have been. So I wonder what the end really looks like. Is it going to look like what Christianity painted for a picture? Something like incredibly obvious. Everyone's going to know and do what's right. Waiting for that time to do what's right in the future. Messiah's actually coming will have to do with what he actually said. He'll come like a thief. When everyone and everything least expects it, that's when he'll come. Save a few people, the elect. But this world, though, it won't believe truth. Messiah comes over and over again for judgment in someone's life like a thief, and they never expect it. But Messiah's actual coming will be just like that, like a thief. It has to do with our life all the time, every day. It doesn't apply to a few people at the end, and now those words mean nothing for most people. What is someone doing, when he checks back? What does he find him doing in this life? There's this sense like he goes away for a little bit, comes back to check on you. What are you doing? What, that's not true? Then why did the Father say, I'll be back next year to Abraham, if Messiah is not teaching something about what's true in spirit? Come back at the appointed time. Nothing you can do about it. Oh, you'll be able to get pregnant. Nothing you can do about it. You could say it's not going to happen all you want. It happened. And you laughed. And then you said you didn't laugh. And the Father said, yes, you did laugh. Stop lying. Think you could just say I didn't laugh and fix the problem? When you actually laugh, now I'll just fix the problem. I didn't laugh. Fixed. I've watched that happen. I've watched Sarah's laugh for giving truth. Watch them laugh right in your face. It's nothing different. It's the same human heart condition. They laugh at truth. They laugh at the power of the Creator and truth because they think it's retarded. They have to make it look retarded to make them look wise. They have to always do evil to make themselves look wise. They can never lift someone up. They have to make them look retarded to make them look wise and lift themselves up. Devil's kingdom. That's how it works. So there's a bunch of YouTubers. Their job is to attack people all day long. You tell them you're a bunch of mother effing retards. That's their job. They make themselves look wise, but they're heavily offended at what they see and confused. But they can't stop doing what they're doing because they're getting good money for it and praise. And someone's attacking them, and then they attack them, and everyone's attacking each other. Full-time job. This is a huge difference between truth and doing evil. with the intention of carnally attacking someone to raise self up. That's what most are doing. It's only a brother if you worship it. If you're against it in any way, it's over. It only accepts those that worship it. It only gives praise back, fake praise, to those that worship it. It can only look like it's righteous for so long until it explodes, holding back all that wrath and trying to look good for just as only for so long before it lets loose like a cannon, like a bomb. I think that's all I got. What's that have to do with the Creator's name? There's a lot of scriptures that make it pretty obvious that it's not just a literal name. Blaspheming his name is also doing wickedness. It's teaching for lies and saying it's truth, and that's who the Creator is. That's blaspheming his name. Teaching for truth, the commandments of men, like Messiah says, depending, if you read the critical text Bibles or not. Commandment won't be there in some of them because they don't like that word, even though it's in Jeremiah or Isaiah or wherever Messiah is quoting from, and then multiple times they don't even say that Messiah quoted the full verse. They just delete half of it. Why would he do that? You can read it in Hebrew scriptures, the Old Testament. The Messiah is only quoting half of one verse. That's what he really did. Okay. That's what they want people to believe, that he's stupid like that. All over the place without people's notice, right under their nose. They like touching his words, but they never told you they did that because it kind of just looks the same when you have a real quick glance. Problem is his word's pretty big. Quick glance won't see much of anything. But it is what it is. Read the word commandment, mitzvah, the Hebrew word mitzvah in the scriptures that Messiah is quoting. But then when they say that Messiah said logos, which is translated as word, Elohim's word, not commandment like it is in the scripture that he's quoting from. It says that he said word now. Delete commandment and say that he said word, logos, and not commandment. Now, one text says he said commandment, the other doesn't. Which one's right? I don't know. That's what they want. They want you to not know. Always question marks everywhere. All these people say that. Did God say? They never talk about the actual reality of the works that's constantly being done in this world. That reality spiritually is always being done. They'll bring up some carnal things sometimes. Did God say he's a Trinity? It only applies one way. Darkness only is a one-way street for itself. All right, I think I'm out. Oops, I accidentally. Okay, that's it then. Peace, take care, seek truth from above.